Hey everyone, I'm here with a July edition of Movie of the Month. I know it's a little different because I'm filming this on my VHS-C Quasar 150 high definition camcorder. And the movie of the month I want to talk about is a Walt Disney classic made back in the 1940s. The film is actually was the third, if you will, in Walt Disney's packaged feature films back then. And it's none other than Fun and Fancy Free. Now, for some of you that don't know about Fun and Fancy Free, let me give you a little bit of history on it. You see, back in the 30s and in the 40s, Walt Disney himself had planned to release two separate feature films, two new separate animated feature films. Now, as we know before, this, he had already, at this time, he had already done Snow White. He had already done Pinocchio. He was working on Bambi. He was completing Fantasia and many others. But he decided he wanted to do something different. He decided he wanted to take the star that made his studio what it is, that being Mickey Mouse right here, and turn him into a household name once again by having him star in his first full-length feature. Now we all know that Mickey theatrically made his theatrical debut or feature-length film debut in the short The Sorcerer's Apprentice. We know that. But what Walt Disney had planned was he was going to have Mickey Mouse, along with Donald Duck and Goofy, star in their own rendition, their own adaptation, if you will, of Jack and the Beanstalk. Now, for some of you that have not seen this movie, Fun and Fancy Free, or do not own this DVD, there is a special feature on here, which is called The Story Behind Fun and Fancy Free. And we find out that, yes, that as I mentioned, Mickey and the Beanstalk, originally supposed to be a full-length feature film, had one scene cut out in it. You see, there were many ideas that were being tossed around. Like who would swindle Mickey out of his bean, would swindle Mickey or give Mickey these magic beans in exchange for his cow? Who would do that? Well, they thought about the two crooks, if you will, that's, Gideon and Foul, or whatever his name, from Pinocchio, those two crooks at the beginning of Pinocchio. They're kind of talking about into not going to school, if you will. They thought about using them. But surprisingly, it's not them that gives Mickey the magic beans. No. See, there's a deleted scene, not, animated or anything, but a deleted scene where Mickey goes to the castle of the ruler of this land that's in disarray, if you will, or destitute. And the ruler of this land gives him the magic beans. And you know who that ruler is? Well, if you guessed Minnie, you're right. It's none other than Minnie. Even though it would have been a small part, had Mickey and the Beanstalk originally become a feature-length film, a full-length feature-length film, like Walt Disney had intended, then Minnie would have had a small part in that film, as the queen or the princess of that land. Now, another full-length feature-length film that they were working on that's also a part of this was Bongo. Right here. I don't know if you can see that, but it's Bongo that they were working on. Now, Bongo, just like Mickey and the Beanstalk, was originally supposed to be a full-length feature-length film, full-length feature film. And just like with Mickey, the characters went through different designs. The love interest of Bongo went through some different designs as well as some names before she ended up at Lulubelle. The villain in the film went through some design changes as well. And there were other things that were a part of the original idea for the Bongo film, like him having a chimpanzee valet, encountering some country bear cubs, and a few other ideas. Now, believe it or not, some of the writers, when when Walt kind of proposed to do this story, which was basically sort of based on I guess some kind of a news strip or comic strip or something like that. I don't really know. I have to look at this again. They didn't want to do it. They said, no way, we're not going to do this because it doesn't sound interesting. You know, it doesn't have heart. Well, to their surprise, it actually turned out to be a very cute picture. Now, however, even before this, even though they were refusing, and eventually did start working on it, in the end, I guess because Walt Disney convinced them. Unfortunately, because World War II had started, and because World War II had basically taken up a lot of Walt's artists by drafting them, and taking up the studio facilities to do the war films and the training films and the morale films, which you can probably find historically on certain video sites and if you got DVDs and all that. What happened later is that what happened because of this is the European market, which Walt always had success in, just like he does here in the States, ended up closing its doors because of the war. So what did this do? After the war? Well, financially, Walt had to build himself back up. And then he remembered that he had done something before the war, called a package film, which was Fantasia. So he decided he was going to do it once again with Make Mine Music, which consisted of multiple segments. But Walt, still determined to get Mickey and the Beanstalk and Bongo off the ground somehow, decided, you know, we did multiple segments with them, why don't we just do like a 2-segment deal with Bongo and Mickey? And thus, Fun and Fancy Free was made. And with the addition of Jiminy Cricket as the host and narrator, along with appearance by Edward Bergen, who is Candice Bergen's father, and very notable for his 2 ventriloquist puppets, if you will, and Lou Ann Patton. It also had the singing narration by Diane Shore for Bongo. So he figured, what I think originally Diane was going to do anyway, even if it was full-length feature film instead of just a short 30-minute or 45-minute cartoon. Anyway, Walt, determined to get both of those off the ground, decided, you know, I'm going to just package them both as a full-length feature, as a 2-set feature film, basically a double feature film, a double feature, if you will. You know, kind of like what you see in recent years, and I don't want to compare it to this, but kind of what you've seen with Grindhouse and